say, did you go to the Jesuits? Almost like right away they want to know, you must be a Jesuit. 'Cause, they have this real something about Jesuits that we were infiltrating, and a lot of the mythology in the British history, they always have the Jesuit priest skulking around the palace, and he's like he's the spy, he's the Russian spy, he is that incredibly feared person that he's not. Oh yeah, but you see, that's what they have. Yeah, that the Jesuits were infiltrating their system, and of course the Irish were always suspected of being Jesuits, and shoot first. No, it's the Society of Jesus. It's the Ignatius of Loyola. It was called the Society of Jesus, or the Army of Jesus. Yeah, it was the Counter-Reformation. They decided that Martin Luther and others said, okay, and Calvin said that's enough. We're going to fight back. So that's what it was. That's why it's called the Counter-Reformation. But anyway, I want to get to this because this is important to me anyway, and to you and everybody. We talked about this before. The Annals of the Four Masters would not exist today. We would not have them if it hadn't been for exactly that. The O'Clerys having done well and become Micheál O'Clery and his three cousins and many, many more. Again, from the traditional bard and scribes to the scholars, probably Olive was the actual name they called them. An Olive was what they were, and the Olive is the Irish word for a scholar. So Olive, and you see it a lot. Ulskull, and Olus is knowledge and so on. So Olive and the word ol, and that, is a very, see it a lot, but it means so. An Olive is a man of knowledge, is a scholar, and it's probably the highest honor that you can address somebody is Olive, to call him a true Olive. Anyway, so they were the Olives, if you like, and Micheál O'Clery, of course, is only one of many, but he's by far the one that is most important, because he was sent back by his Irish principal in Louvain to collect all the. It was really part of the counter-revolution, actually. All of the history on the three saints, Patrick, Bridget, and Columkill, and there was a movement going on in Europe at the time, as part of the Counter-Reformation, that these saints really did exist, because the whole idea of saints was absolutely anathema to the reformers, and probably it had gotten a little out of hand because they were worshipping literally the relics of the saints and so on. So the whole business of saints was very discredited in Europe, and the Jesuits and the counter-reformers in Europe wanted to stem that tide, because they were afraid that they would lose a very valuable tradition, namely that there really was a guy called St. Patrick and St. Bridget and Columkill. So, and of course also maybe to establish the authenticity of the Irish Christian Church. So it was on that mission that they went back to document and save as much as they could, because remember, these guys were religious guys, less concerned with the secular world than they were about the. But as my mother would have said, what's bred in the cat will come out in the kitten. Is that the way they say it? Is it? Huh? You are what you are. It'll come out. So this you are what she used to say. Well, they're only what they ought to be, or they are what they ought to be. In other words, you're very predictable what you are. So O'Clery fulfilled his mission, and requested a little extra time to do the same thing with the secular world. And he collected the secular annals, pardon? The profane, if you like, the non-religious history of Ireland. And his boss said, well, okay, but you know, I want you back by 16, he actually started 1628. I think he wanted him back the following year, and I think about 1632 he finally came back. He came back a couple of times, but he did an incredible job, absolutely an amazing job, because he understood very, very well that chances are it was gone, because Ireland was totally defeated, as you know. The first quarter really, certainly the first half of the 1600s of the 17th century were totally devastating for Ireland. So it was just at that moment that O'Clery and some of his people scooped up and collected as much as they could. And thank goodness we got a lot of it. And then it sat there for another 200 years until O'Donovan translated it in the 1850s, with the help of O'Curry from Clare. So that period we did manage, again, through Spain, because remember, even though these guys were in what we would now consider northern France, or that was the Spanish Netherlands. Kevin?
What was the name of the book of the three saints?
The three, it was a Latin word. It's called the I
saw it for sale on the Merton Books website.
Did you? Yeah, it's.
600,
I would imagine. Yeah. The try. Oh, I can't remember. Pardon?
The three amigos.
No. The Trimagura. Oh, sorry, folks. I'm really showing my ignorance here. If anybody watching this, the idiot doesn't mean it's the brain. I've forgotten. Yeah, that's too bad. I can't remember the name of it. Monsignor O'Neill would know instantly. I'll tell you, he'd be hammering it at me. So religious zeal played a part in rescuing some of our old through Spain. And if you were to ask me what was the most significant connection between the two countries, I'd probably tell you that. I would probably say that would be the most significant part that the relationship between Spain and Ireland played in the last 500 years, was the fact that the Olives, the educated class, the Irish educated class, because remember they distinguished. You had your part. It's not like today, where you decide you're going to go to Yale. You kind of born into it or not. Each different family had their. You could, I suppose, break out from one to the other, but it was not. It was the exception rather than the rule. So the preservation of whatever it is, whatever we were able to preserve of our history. But what was really neat, though, is a lot of it was preserved by word of mouth. And now, for those who want to see, there are a lot of things to look at, just like the Spanish Arch itself, and to throw away all the scholarly, traditional, and look at what we see entirely from our own perspective today. And not very many are willing to do that. But those who do, are rediscovering a lot of truths that when you look at when you re-look at some of the traditions that there were hundreds of Spanish ships in Galway Bay on a particular day, or it would be at a certain time of year. There was something going on, there was something going on. The crop, the corn crop or something had come in. There was it's not that it would be there every day, but there would be there'd be a swarming, if you like, of something. And if you could then piece together and coincide, and that's actually how they've learned a lot of stuff, is they coordinate, overlay various pieces of knowledge on others. If you look at things on one isolation, you don't see, when you overlay things, it starts to really make sense. You know, they're like, now they're climatologists are overlaying things, and they're saying, whoa, wait a minute. So we had this huge dip in population, or Black Death, or whatever. Well, there you are. That's what it was. There was a cataclysmic event in so and there was, you know, there was a sort of winter set in for 10 years and crops didn't grow. Sure, a lot of people died. So stuff like that, we can learn a great deal more about history now, and